Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm definitely doing a lot better. So far, at first with this allergy season, was having a little bit of problems, but it's definitely straightening around. I'm able to have the door and window open today and be able to breathe without having issues. It's nice. I love it. I've always been somebody who would much rather um, have doors and windows open whenever possible, let all that fresh air in and so forth. Yeah, and love it. This has been wonderful. Those of you who aren't aware, I've been, well, first of all, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Um, but those of you who aren't aware, uh, and I've been having breathing troubles for like the last, well, basically since December 2022. Uh, I'd had some sort of respiratory virus, not too sure if it was COVID, RSV, something else, combination, what have you, but it left me with breathing difficulties, especially with the muscles in my chest here. Um, Very sore, making it difficult to just breathe in and out and so forth. And then on top of it, congestion. So personally, I think that what had happened, kind of combination of things. I think that with that happening at the same time, I was starting to turn into a type 1 diabetic because it was just a few months later that um, I was diagnosed with that. So I think that was probably what had happened. And unfortunately, in the process, I wasn't able to heal. And I think that what was happening was, um, well, basically, I think it just pretty much weakened everything. And with and unfortunately, yeah, I was seeing a regular doctor, but he kept putting me on antibiotics, which was just temporary. And of course, I can't do steroids, even inhaler steroids, because it just it makes blood sugars go sky high with a diabetic. So, combination of things. And eventually, I started pushing to try and see a pulmonologist. And unfortunately, that was wound up running into quite a few difficulties with that. And I'm going to be seeing my third one next week. So at least I'll have a relationship established. So if I basically wind up having a relapse or whatever, at least I'll have somebody that I can go see. Basically, what I wound up doing, because unfortunately, even the medications that I was being prescribed by at least this second pulmonology office, unfortunately, I was dealing with a lot of side effects and they were making me worse. I was either passing out or um, nausea, but basically being yeah, like I said, side effects. It was counterintuitive. So I wound up going off of everything and so forth, and trying some more homeopathic things. Um, it was a combination of using essential oils, lavender and rose essential oils with sweet almond oil as the base oil. Um, Taking those and massaging them into my chest and and even just working those muscles, doing yoga stretches that target the chest, really stretch them all out and so forth. And also, I have an acupressure mat and pillow. Took the mat, rolled it up, putting it across here, put the pillow here, laying on those for 30 minutes. Sometimes it was a bit excruciating, but hey, all in all, it worked. And also, taken the bottles of essential oils with me when I work, and when I would get little flare ups or what have you, I just open it up and just do it across my nose, just to help calm things down. Then that way I was also getting internally, not only externally, but also internally to combine help calm those muscles. And lavender and rose are actually both really good anti-inflammatories, especially when it comes to well, really in general, but they're really good for muscle relief as well. Pine is also another one, but unfortunately, I was being very sensitive to pine. But with everything combined, for the most part, it's doing good. I still have some flare ups. I still have a little bit of issues with some allergens. Going down detergent aisle in grocery stores can be a little difficult. There was a apartment building I was doing a delivery to the other day. They were pumping in this aroma that was just awful, terrible. Um, and yeah, I had to get out of there in a really big hurry. So yeah, that was a bit difficult. There's some things that are still not all too terribly kosher. So I'm not going back to ride sharing anytime soon until I feel comfortable with it, basically. And I've actually been, in some ways, yeah, I've been kind of enjoying doing the deliveries. It gives me alone time, which I've needed also. I have been taking this opportunity to, I'm able to work a little bit more at my own pace without having to be worrying about somebody breathing down my neck, or somebody wanting to be chatty in the back seat, or bringing in aromas or what have you. It's been a little bit more laid back. Yeah, I'm not making nearly as much money as what I was before, but I also recognize that this is a necessity. So, yeah, but I am looking forward to getting back to my life, pursuing some different things. This week has been kind of challenging, for me physically, because it's like I just start getting clear of all of that. Getting my rest, allowing my body to heal, and so on and so forth. And then I turn right around and I start menopause. Joy. So, yeah, that has been a transition. I know I don't look like I should be starting menopause, but I am actually 49. But so I'm right in that age group and everything, and it was confirmed, with the lab work and so forth. But yeah, I've definitely have started that, and that has been a transition as well. It's like, on the one hand, uh, I'm going through the motions of what you should go through in a month, with the ovulation, PMS, actually starting my period, so on and so forth. But unfortunately, of course, nothing is happening. So, and those hormones have got to go somewhere. So, yeah, there's been some nausea, upset stomachs. I'm definitely hitting up the yogurt like crazy, trying to stay away from inflammatories or what have you. But, fortunately, I also still am getting those cravings too. Um, or it's just a matter of convenience too. So yeah, there's those things that I'm still going through. And this week has been a bit challenging with with the menopause. This is the week I should have been ovulating, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is supposed to be during this week or whatever. But yeah, first my sugars were going through the floor. I couldn't keep my sugars up for nothing, and then I was turning around and having high sugars. So it's been one extreme to the other. Also, I've spent the first couple of weeks hotter than blazes, and then on top of it, hot flashes. And I finally am kind of getting clear of being hot all the time, still dealing with hot flashes a little bit, but I was freezing cold couldn't warm up for anything. So yeah, it's been one extreme or the other, but I think a lot of that has mellowed down. I've been hitting the estrogen. That's been helping quite a bit. So I think that's, and it takes a while for it to get into your system and actually work and so forth. But which reminds me, I need to take that pill. I don't, I find it works a little bit better, at least for me, a little bit closer to evening than first thing in the morning. So I've been trying to hold off taking it until like evening time. So, but anyway, yeah. And speaking of yogurt, if y'all need to know which ones, basically it's the strains that you find in Chobani, the Greek yogurt. Also Whole Foods, the organic yogurt. I just buy the big tubs, like vanilla flavor. It's like, and I just eat right out of it. So I'm the only one who's eating it. So, but those strains, and it's better if you consume it like that, like in yogurt or kefir or something like that, as long as it's those six strains, um, than to actually, like do like pill form or what have you. And I've done a lot of research when it comes to probiotics. I really have. Because unfortunately, I was in perimenopause for 15 years. Yeah. I know exactly when I entered into perimenopause. I didn't know it at the time, but I definitely know it now. And basically have kind of spent the last 10 years dealing with gut issues because of it. It's been a bit challenging. So I'm already well versed on with what you should eat, shouldn't eat, probiotics, so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm pretty well versed on all that. I've already done all my research. So definitely, and unfortunately, when it comes with me, um, I don't really have. Um, Much in the way of a reference when it comes to dealing with menopause. My mom, she had a hysterectomy when she was 35. And she would, of course, be my best source reference. And her mother went through it when she was basically still a kid. My mom is the second youngest out of 11 kids. So, and my grandmother died. That grandmother anyway died when I was 17. The other one, she died in my mid 20s. I don't remember how old I was, but she was from the background where we don't talk about those things. It's like, oh no. And it didn't help either that unfortunately she was in a household with a bit of a controlling husband, and they had 4 kids, all boys. So who could she talk to? But either way, she was from that sort of family background where no, we do not talk about these things. The way I look at it is we should be talking about these things, so that way we can understand, what's going on and everything. So yeah, I've been fortunately with going through perimenopause and then with doing the ride sharing work during that time, it gave me opportunities to be able to talk to different women. And I've been I'm now seeing what some of those women were talking about when I actually enter into menopause. So it helped that all those years that I was doing the ride sharing work, it definitely is paying off now with me actually going through it. So I have some sort of frame of reference. And unfortunately, when it comes to like other family members or whatever, basically nobody talks to anybody on either side of the family. I hate to say it. Never been close. It's just I only have one cousin on my father's side who's older than me. I'm sure she's probably going through it, but she doesn't talk to anybody. Not even people who live there in the area. She just doesn't talk to anybody. And then as far as my mom's side of the family, well, that whole side is nothing but drama. And again, nobody talks to anybody. We're scattered all over the world. Nobody has any idea where most people are even at, to be perfectly honest. Um, Some of them, I have no idea. I know of them, but yeah, and unfortunately, most of those kids that my grandmother had were either adopted or fostered out. Those of you who don't know, she was a very abusive woman. She was an alcoholic, so she was a very abusive woman. So yeah, and unfortunately, it also trickled down to all of us grandkids even. So um, as far as her abuse was concerned. So, but yeah, I really don't haven't had anybody to talk to about any of this. So I'm just kind of relying on conversations that I've had with other women who've either gone through it or were going through it or what have you, um, and so forth. So, but I'm very grateful that I had those opportunities to help prepare me because, like I said, my mom, I mean, it was like a cakewalk for her, especially with having the hysterectomy. It really was a cakewalk for her. So, um, but yeah, I at least now I know what to expect, to try and help with it, as I go through it. Of course, don't know how long it can last or anything, but yeah, at least I know what to expect now that I'm pretty much going through almost a full month of it now. So it's like, okay, yeah, I just gotta pay it. The main thing is going to be um, watching out for that nausea, if you know what I mean. And then and definitely the blood sugars. I'm going to have to keep my eye on those. So I do see an endocrinologist as a diabetic specialist, but there's not much more that he can tell me to do than what I'm already doing. And I had a really good teacher with my mom when it came to managing diabetes. For unfortunately, this is actually my second endocrinologist. First one, he was just awful. I mean, to the point where he um, he wasn't even refilling my prescriptions. He has a very bad history of that, even with reading the reviews that like on the different websites and so forth. He has a very, very, very bad history of not renewing people's prescriptions even. So that's why I switched. I thought maybe it was the staff, the nursing staff in there and everything. But then when I went to my last meeting with them, I found out no, it wasn't. They were actually updating my records. It was him who wasn't paying attention to things and so forth. It was like, okay, nope. I kind of blew my top with that last visit, which is understandable. But no, this guy that I've been seeing, I just had my recent visit with him. Uh, when was that? I think it was last week. Yeah, last week. And yeah, he's been a lot better. If anything, he's just like, you're doing so good. I don't see the point in you keep coming in here once every 3 months. Let's make it 6 months. I'm like, okay. Fine by me. It's like he said with the very first meeting that I had with them. He's like, okay, so basically what you need me here for is just to renew your prescriptions. I'm like, exactly. If it wasn't for the fact that, I mean, like with the insulins, there is over the counter, but I tried them. I didn't do well with them at all. I'm better off staying on the ones that are prescription. It was just bad situation, not good at all. So I'm between that and then of course I have my sensors here that basically monitors blood glucose, so I don't have to do the finger pricking. Yeah. So yeah. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't even mess with seeing a doctor, to be perfectly honest. It's the way it's the way I've always been. My mom was the same way. It's like she did better managing her own diabetes than having a doctor help her out. Yeah, of course, her initial doctor, he was actually really, really good. which is stark contrast to what I went through. Because when she became a diabetic, of course she was in the hospital for a week, normal, typical, but she got training. She was seeing her diabetic doctor. She was getting, seeing nutritionists, so on and so forth. I got none of that when I was in the hospital. If anything, it's like I never saw the doctor. I have no idea who the doctor even was. Never saw a nutritionist, and I was supposed to, according to my insurance, I was supposed to see a nutritionist. Never saw a nutritionist. And as far as the nursing staff, I was actually in two different rooms. Initially, I was on one wing, and they were it was kind of hit and miss, but for the most part, the nurses were great. Some There was actually one who was a diabetic, and they would let me, like do my own finger pricking, inject my own insulin, so on and so forth. So that way I got that training, or I guess you could say, that practice basically to be, to be able to do it at home. The only problem is that I really wasn't getting any guidance as far as how much I should be taking. It was more, oh, here's the syringe, inject yourself. Well, how much should I be taking? This and that, I had no idea. So I had to kind of figure that out when I got home. That was one, I will admit, that was one good thing with the original doctor that I was seeing. He did give me at least some sort of guidance, at least when it came to the long lasting insulin. But as far as the short acting was concerned, I was on my own. So I basically was figuring everything out myself with everything. And the only other really good thing about him is that he was the one who got it approved for me to have the sensor instead of doing the finger pricking. I really wanted that, especially with the sort of work that I do, because it was kind of, you know, being out on the road, and then all of a sudden I'm feeling kind of funky, and I have somebody in the car with me, and it's like, sorry, I'm gonna have to pull over here a minute while I prick my finger. Not a good situation. So yeah, just doing this, there's a reader that comes with it. You can, if you have the proper phone, you can even do it through the app. But I don't have the proper phone, so I have the reader, which I actually prefer because it also has a slot to be able to do a finger prick if you need to. Which sometimes you have to, because the first hour it's calibrating, or it's activating, okay? So you don't have any coverage for that first hour. And then the next 12, or, well, actually the next 11 hours, a total of 12 hours, it's calibrating. So it's recommended that you do finger pricking during that time. And sometimes if I'm feeling one way but it's saying another, I'll go ahead and do a finger prick just to make sure that everything is kosher. But fortunately, the test strips for this are cheap compared to regular glucometers. They're expensive. So yeah, ones for these, pack of 25, it's only like, what is it, $15 or something like that at Walmart. Not bad compared to 60. Yeah, a lot cheaper. So yeah, I don't mind it, going that route. But he was the one who actually got me approved for that. And of course, of course, the only reason why is because they make commission off of it. And of course, I know this doctor. He's trying to get, even trying to get me to switch over to doing the insulin pump and all that. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I I know my mom, I realized way back in the day, we're talking like 40 years ago, when insulin pumps first came out. This is like back in the mid 80s. Totally different scenario and so forth. I'm sure they've made a lot of improvements since then and everything, but I mean, I'm doing just fine with doing it on my own, so why upset the apple cart? That's the way I look at it. And even a lot of people are like, "Oh, you should do the EpiPens instead." Why? When I'm doing just fine the way everything is right now. And and that's the thing too, that I took a look at the EpiPen, and one of the things I found out with the long lasting is it only does in increments of two, unlike with the short acting, it goes in increments of one, which is not good for me because unfortunately I needed to be taking 23 units of Lantus. That's the long lasting, the 24-hour one. And unfortunately, I would have to be, if I did switched over to the EpiPens, I'd have to be doing either 22 or 24. So either not enough or too much. And 23 is my magic number. So no. And I tried changing it earlier this week when I was having issues with my blood sugars and stuff. No, nope. 23 is my magic number, so I had to stick with it. So, but anywho, um, so yeah, it's been an interesting week as far as everything is concerned with me physically, especially with switching it into menopause now. But I'll admit, it's been a pretty good week. Not too bad. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, but it's just a transition. It's a change. Obviously. Duh. That's why they call it the change. Duh. But yeah, it's been it's um, been the difference. So I'm just going with the flow as much as I can and try and get as much rest as I can um, with um, with everything. So, but but anyway, yeah. And of course the rest has been good with me with my healing with my respiratory system as well, with everything with my chest. So that's been awesome too. So anyway, yeah. I thought I'd just pop up here and do this sort of a video and everything, and bring you all up to speed with me with what's going on and so forth. So, but anyway, hope everything's going well with you guys. I hope you all are enjoying fall or autumn, excuse me. Tomorrow is the autumnal equinox, equal day and night. So I know I've been seeing a lot of Halloween decorations around town. People are definitely decorating early this year, understandably, because it's been a very hot summer here. We're all ready. So it has been too bad here lately. At least we're able to have the AC back off. So that's been nice. Um, so, but anyway, I hope you all are doing great. And I will talk at you soon. I love you guys.